Hello, KDL readers. This is Miss Melissa from the Cross Memorial Branch up in Rockford, and I'm here with my friend.
I'm Miss Lee from the Comstock Park branch.
And we are going to share graphic novels that have been published in the last 6 months with you. We're going to start with graphic novels for written at like the easiest reading levels, and we're going to work our way up to graphic novels for stronger, older readers. And we've got a lot to share with you, so we're just going to jump right into it and get started.
All right. The first book that I've got for you is called Look What We Can Do. This is a really early reader graphic novel, and it's also a series. So you've got Archie and Reddy. So they are trying to win a wagon. There is a talent contest, and the prize is a wagon, and they really, really, really want it. So they are doing everything they can. They're trying to come up with a plan to win this talent show. And they're just super silly. They keep adding all these things and making it super complicated. When in fact, they just need to be themselves and just do what they do best. The great thing about this book, the reason I love it and why it's so great for early readers like kindergarten, first grade, is because of how much repetition is in it. Like certain words like guitar and stuff like that are repeated so that they can see that. And when we read, we're memorizing things, right? We don't always sound everything out. And that's what this book is helping do, that recognition and memorization. So this is a great book for K through first grade. The next book that I have is also super great for K through even second grade. This one goes a little bit more in depth. It's completely told in rhyming. So this is Peach and Plum, Here We Come. And they've got 5 separate stories in it. So they're all very small stories, quick to get through, so they still feel like they're accomplishing something by finishing a book. And like I said, all in rhyme. So they do things like play ball together. They go to the beach. It's just a really cute little story about some fruits. So this one was super fun. The next one is Melissa. I think you had something to show us, didn't you?
I do. So the next book I want to share with you is called Bumble and Snug and the Angry Pirates, and it's by Mark Bradley. This is a first book in a brand new early reader graphic novel series. It's shelved in our early readers, but as you can see, it's pretty long. If I didn't know that, I probably would have guessed it was a junior early. So it reads more like something written for, a first through third grade reading level. But it is about a couple of creatures called bug bops. This is Bumble and this is Snug, and they live in the city of Bugopolis. And this book is really about feelings and personalities and working together to solve problems. And I just loved all those themes. I think they're really relevant for early elementary. For example, Bumble is described as being 50% enthusiasm, 50% energy, and 100% excitement, whereas Snug is described as 33% kindness, 33% caring, and 33% brains. So, as you can imagine, they have to learn how to compromise, work together, talk to each other, and make decisions in order to go on all the fun adventures that they go on. It will appeal to kids who like Narwhal and Jelly. Another book that I think Miss Lee is about to talk about, the Norma and Belly series, if you're familiar with that. This reminded me a lot of both of those, and I think it'll appeal to kids who enjoy those early graphic novels. All right, let's head back to Miss Lee.
Those characters remind me of those like series of books that we read as kids. Do you remember? It was like Mrs. Sunshine and
Yes, the art is really similar to that.
those were super fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, like Miss Melissa said, I'm going to be talking about the Norma and Belly series. They came out with a new book called Pizza My Heart, and it is super cute. They really just want pizza, but nobody is willing to deliver them pizza. And when they do find a place to get it delivered, there is a cat, a grumpy cat in the way, and they've got to find a way to get around the cat. I love this book. It's great for first through third. They've got fun words in it, but also there's not a ton of text. It's really teaching them to find context through pictures, which is important. And it's just super silly. And there's so many to this series, like Apple of My Pie and my personal favorite, Donut Feed the Squirrels. So a lot of puns in these, which teaches kids about just word context and different like homonyms. So super fun. The next one that I've got is Haley and Comet. Here's just a picture of the cover, A Trip Around the Sun. This is also a series, so there's more than one. And in this one, we've got Haley and Comet, which is a play on, of course, Haley's Comet. So there's a little bit of teaching in there. It teaches some fun scientific facts about Haley's Comet and stuff like that. This one is like there's a lot of friendship themes. But it's silly enough and fun enough that it keeps the kids' attention. I would say this is great for first through third. Also a great read aloud just for younger kids, like in kindergarten, if you want something to read along with your kiddo. So this is a super fun one for that, and also very educational. All right, the next couple that I've got are just really silly. This one is called Crab and Snail, the Invisible Whale. Lots of rhyming, as you can see, which is great for that phonemic awareness. In this book, it won't stop raining, and they're super upset because they want to have lots of fun. The thing that I loved about this book, again, like Haley's Comet, it teaches scientific facts in sort of a fun way. They learn lots of fun facts about like beach creatures like barnacles and snails, crabs, and even seagulls, all creatures that you would see on a beach ecosystem. This one also great for first through third, but again, just a fun book to read aloud with kids, showing them how to read a graphic novel. So this is another super silly, fun, educational book. And then the last one that I've got for you is just really, really silly. This one's called Squidding Around, Prank You Very Much. In this one, Squid is like the ultimate class clown, and it is prank day in school. And he is trying to come up with the absolute best prank. And he feels stuck, almost like a writer's block. So he ends up spending his day just helping other people do pranks or getting pranks pulled on him. And in the end, he comes up with something really good. But this is just a fun book, again, about helping others, friendship. This one's got a little bit more words in it. So I would say this one probably second through even fifth grade. Again, a lot of puns in this book. Great for teaching word usage. So that is what I've got. Miss Melissa, what do you have for us?
Okay, I've got a handful. So first one, Sir Ladybug and the Queen Bee. This is actually book 2 in a new junior early chapter book series, but book 1, I don't think KDL has book talked yet, so I've got it right here. The first one's just called Sir Ladybug. So Sir Ladybug is a brave knight who fights for really worthy things like truth and justice, but the truth is his Queen Bee, is kind of a bully, and she is just on a mission to get her knights to be bullies with her. And Ladybug's just really not into that. Do you think he's going to be able to figure out a way to outsmart the queen, or will he just have to go along with it? I bet you can guess. You have to read the book to find out. What I really loved about this is it's got a really fun, fresh sense of humor. It's the kind of sense of humor that is 100% kid appropriate, but that adults will find funny too. It also has a really, really beautiful color palette. It's very like springish, summerish, lots of pretty pastels. And it's divided into chapters. They're really short chapters. And within each chapter, the design is really different from page to page. So you'll have some pages that are just full color illustration. another page that is panels, and then sometimes a mix of both. It's really varied, and I think that helps with the pacing. And as a parent of kids in the kindergarten through 5th grade age range, like my kids like really good book design and really good illustration, and it keeps them engaged for a little bit longer. And as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, it's just perfect. It's beautiful. So Sir Ladybug and the Queen Bee by Corey R. Tabor. I should mention too, he is a Theodore Seuss Geisel Award-winning author illustrator. He's done a lot of other work. The next one that I wanted to book talk is called Mimi and the Cutie Catastrophe. This is a debut book in a new series by an author who's written some other stuff, Shauna J. Grant, but she hasn't really dipped her toe into junior early graphic novels yet. So this is her first work in this kind of genre. But it's absolutely adorable, although our protagonist, Mimi, probably wouldn't want me dwelling too much on that fact because she is cute, and everybody wants to tell her that all day long. Everything she does is cute. Everything she wears is cute. Her little stuffy here is cute. And after a while, she just gets sick of hearing that she's cute. Have you ever felt that way? I haven't. But she wants to be strong and smart and brave and a lot of other things. And she feels like all anyone will ever see her as is cute. So she goes on a little adventure to try on different versions of herself to convince other people that she can be a lot of different things. I wonder how she'll reconcile all these different things that she is with the way that she appears to other people. You'll have to read the book to find out. Again, it's organized into chapters. It's really wholesome and honest. And it's just a great offering for this younger age range, especially girls. And it reminded me a little bit of other series I've seen come out recently, like the Geraldine Pooh early graphic novel series, and also Meet Yasmin, which isn't a graphic novel series. It's an early chapter book. But I think that this book would appeal to kids who like those series. And then the next one I wanted to talk about is Stick and Stone, Explore, and More. These guys look familiar. That's because they're already well-loved picture book characters. I've got the 2 picture books here. First one was Stick and Stone. Then we got Stick and Stone, Best Friends Forever. And now, growing up with our readers is an early graphic novel book in the series. I love it when authors do this, when they kind of age up their content so that they can keep their fan base like going as they grow up. The books grow up with them. And that's exactly what this is. It's 2 brand new stories organized into one junior early graphic novel. We get some new characters. There's activities at the end of each story. And there's still this emphasis on Stick and Stone's really wonderful, beautiful, wholesome friendship. There's also more books coming in this series. On the back, it tells you that there's another graphic novel that'll come out. So I'm really excited about that. And then the last junior early graphic novel I wanted to share with you is called Expedition Backyard. And it's by Rosemary Moscow. This is a great book for kids who enjoy science nonfiction and want to kind of dip their toe into fiction, or kids who generally read fiction but are interested in nature, science, and might want to like explore nonfiction a little bit more without leaving a fictional world. So in this story, you've got 2 best friends, Mole and Vole, who are having just a great life living out in the forest. And each chapter, again, it's organized into chapters, is a different adventure that they go on. At the end of each chapter, you see pages from their nature journal that they take on all their adventures with them. And throughout the story, but especially in these pages, all the different plant and animal life they encounter in their adventures is identified. So it's really educational. It's got a really strong emphasis on ecosystems, which I think is totally cool. But there's also a plot line because a couple stories in, Mole and Vole accidentally misplace themselves and move somewhere completely different from the ecosystems they've always known their whole life. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that they'll have to find their way back? Do you think they can? Or could they perhaps find more cool stuff to explore and identify and love in a new place? You'll have to read the book to find out. It reminded me a lot of Remy Lai's work too, and the Surviving the Wild series that they've been writing. So if you've got kids who are interested in that kind of stuff, it'd be a good one.
I love how they're finding ways to incorporate science and teach kids through fun stories. They're not just silly. All right. The next one I've got for you is one of my favorite animals, and I know my daughter loves sloths as well. So this is Sloth Sloof. It's kind of a tongue twister there. In this one, Sloth here lives on an island that is completely covered in criminals. And they are on the hunt to find out why everybody is getting sick. So they've got a mysterious illness. Turns out it is food poisoning. That is the spoiler that they give us on the back of the cover. So it's food poisoning, and she has to figure out what is causing the food poisoning. Who is the culprit? Is it on purpose or is it an accident? So it's just really silly because it talks about how she solves crimes in her sleep. She's the best detective the island's got. This is a fun graphic novel. It's got a lot of words. So this is for kids a little bit older. I would say 3rd through 5th. And just a great novel for kids who are fans of like bad guys, even Captain Underpants type stuff, because there's a lot of that little humor in there. Not quite as much as Captain Underpants, but this is a good one for kids who like that, or Dogman. So that is a great recommendation there. The next one I have is one of my favorite authors, Mac Barnett, who writes a lot of kids' picture books, like Did You Take My Hat? Or I Want My Hat Back, which are favorites of librarians all around. And now he's got some graphic novels. This is The First Cat in Space Ate Pizza. I was reading this on an airplane next to a bunch of adults, giggling to myself. This is one that will be well loved by kids and parents alike. So this is about a cat who has to go into space. The rats of the moon who live on the dark side of the moon are eating the moon, which is a big problem because we need the moon, right? So they send the cat up, but a robot sneaks on board with the cat. But the robot is just supposed to be like a cleaning robot. She doesn't know anything about saving the moon or how to help. So it's an adventure for Cat and the robot to help save the moon from the moon-eating rats. Just a really silly story. Again, this is for fans of Dogman and the Bad Guys series. Just really silly. And that one is also great for kids 3rd through 5th. Honestly, I would say 3rd grade on up, because I thought it was hilarious. So all will enjoy. The next one I've got is not silly, but it is a really important story. This is about 2 twins, and they live right on the border of Mexico and California. So they're twins, but they're also best friends. And they're about to go into middle school. And as they're doing that, she decides that she wants to go to school in California, and he's going to stay in school in Mexico. So they've never been apart before, and they're starting this new world of middle school, which is scary. So they decide, or they find out that it's not as easy as they thought being apart from each other. She's struggling to fit in, and he is struggling missing his sister, even though he's with all of his friends. So they find themselves in a bit of trouble with that. It's a really great story for empathy and learning some cultural stuff about Mexico. I thought it was really interesting. I learned that there is a city called Calixco, which is, right in the middle. So I thought that was a really great story. And the last one that I've got for you is called Swim Team. This is about a girl who just moved, and she's starting a new school. And in that school, she didn't get signed up for classes quite early enough and has to join gym class, which is all swimming. She doesn't know how to swim, and she's terrified of it. So she is doing her best, and she finds that she lives next to somebody who used to be a swimming champion of their school. She was the best. And she tells her how when she grew up, she couldn't go into swimming pools because it was a whites only, and how she had to fight for the right to go into the swimming pool and practice, and how she overcame that and became a champion swimmer at the school. So she's being taught by that, and is overcoming some bullying from some other girls from a rival school, and one who ends up joining their swim team who isn't treating her well at all either. So it's a book about overcoming and persevering bullying, racism, and challenges our own fears. So it's a really great book. I loved this one. This one's great for, I would say, 4th, 5th on up. Great for those going in and changing schools or stuff like that. So this is a really great book. Anybody who's read Jerry Craft's book, New Kid, this is also a great read alike for them. All right. What do you have for us, Melissa?
All right, so the next book I want to share is probably one of my most surprising favorite books of 2022, mostly because the cover makes it look ridiculous. I will show it to you. It's called Two-Headed Chicken. And I saw this on a cart a couple times. I'm just like, that looks ridiculous. That doesn't look like something I would read. And one day I finally just picked it up, and oh my gosh, this book is hilarious. My whole family loved it. I've got kids from 2nd grade up to 5th grade in my house. Even my husband loved it. Basically, it exists in a multiverse. And in this multiverse, you are not only a chicken of all the different things you could be in all the different multiverses. In this one, you're a chicken, but you're actually just one head of a two-headed chicken. Your other head is your sister who's smarter than you. And you and your sister, the two-headed chicken, are being chased by a giant green moose who wants to eat you. So you read through the book and you keep escaping the moose into a new multiverse where in that multiverse, you're a different version of yourself. And the moose is a different version of himself. And the saga continues. It's ridiculous. There's so many pop culture references, and I think that's part of the reason why I enjoyed it as an adult. And then there are games and puzzles just scattered throughout. There's like reading comprehension quizzes that are so tongue-in-cheek and self-aware, but they're also actually reading comprehension quizzes. So I will be recommending this one nonstop to anybody looking for like high-low books for kids in maybe like 4th through 5th grade, but it's also readable for younger grade levels too. It's just a great read alike for things like Dogman or Bad Guys with like that kind of quirky sense of humor, goofy drawings. It also breaks the 4th wall over and over and over. So if you've got kids who are like into that kind of thing, like self-aware books, it totally fits the bill. Yeah, I loved it. I don't know. I was so surprised by it. It's by Tom Engelberger, who also wrote the Inspector Flytrap series, the Origami Yoda series. He did art in other really popular stuff. So he's a really established author and illustrator. So I probably should have known better. But anyways, it's hilarious. The next one I have to book talk is kind of a difficult book to describe because it is so, like the setting itself is such a large part of the story. If you've got a kid who really loves fantasy and really loves good world building, this is a really good new book. It's called Star Knights. It's by Kay DeVault. And the premise is that in the land of the Milky Way marsh, there are a bunch of forest and marsh creatures. And once upon a time, long, long ago, so many stars fell to Earth. And when these stars fell to Earth, the animals that lived in the Milky Way marsh caught them. Once they caught them, the stars became crowns and transformed their owners into these like humanoid animals who built this beautiful, peaceful, vibrant society. But of course, no book can start off and continue with a utopia. And in this story, this evil marsh queen came and wanted all the power of these stars and these star crowns for themselves, or for herself. She brought all these marsh animals to try to like take over all the power. And of course, there's this small band of star knights who fight her and win. Yay! Later on, there are a bunch of animals hearing the story. It's passed down generation after generation. And Tad, who is a frog, hears the story and wants to become a star knight. But the Marsh Queen's minions were mud dwellers, which is what frogs are. And he's told somewhat painfully that he is not worthy, but he's not willing to give up on his dream. It's a long story, lots of adventure involving a missing star king and a big battle. And it's just a really beautiful story of like perseverance and believing in yourself with a really vivid setting. It reminded me a lot of Cucumber Quest. If you've got kids who are into that, rest in peace. We never got the last episode in that story. But it reminded me of that because it's got that like really overly cutesy drawing, but it's got really broad appeal story-wise. I would recommend this to like 2nd through 5th grade, even middle school, boys or girls, because it's got a lot of like character development, strong world building, and a really timeless adventure story. It's just a really solid recommendation for a lot of different types of kids. So that one is Star Knights. And then the last book I have to share with you is called Invisible. And this is one that I've actually book talked for both elementary and middle school. It's probably the most mature content of anything that I'm mentioning today. It's going to be great fit for fans of Raina Telgemeier, for Babysitter's Club, New Kid, kind of sits somewhere in between those types of stories. But it takes place in a middle school. These 5 characters are all students at this middle school, and they don't really have very much in common except for one really obvious outward shared quality, and that's that they all speak Spanish. Not all the same dialects of Spanish, not all to the same degree, but to a lot of the people in their community, they're just all the same. They're just the kids who speak Spanish. And because of that, they feel somewhat invisible. Now, through a whole bunch of series of actions, they all end up doing the same like volunteer job, working in their school cafeteria before class starts. And they get to know each other that way. And in the course of doing this volunteer work, they actually find another family that seems kind of invisible too, but in a totally different way. And they decide that they want to do something to help, but it's hard for them to figure out how to help without breaking some school rules. So they have a lot of decisions to make. They have to work together and really kind of break down some stereotypes and barriers in the process too. My favorite part about this book, in addition to all the themes, is the fact that it's pretty much fully bilingual. So anytime a Spanish-speaking character speaks to another Spanish-speaking character, it's written in Spanish, in the exact dialect that they would have used, but it's translated into English. So I would totally recommend this for kids in Spanish immersion, kids who speak Spanish and are learning English, or kids who are learning or who speak English and are learning Spanish. I've never really encountered a graphic novel written like this, and I would just love to see more of it. And that is it for me.
I absolutely loved that book. If you weren't going to book talk it, I was, because I loved it. It was so good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I have one more for you all. And this is another one that I absolutely loved. It's called Play Like a Girl. Again, like she said, this is for older kids. Swim Team, Invisible, and Play Like a Girl are for high elementary, almost middle school. But they are fantastic books. So in this one, it is about a girl, Misty. It's a memoir, so it's actually nonfiction. Misty is about to go into middle school. It's the summer before middle school, and she decides that she wants to play football. She is going to join the football team. So she does summer camp with them. She convinces her best friend to join with her to meet boys or make friends so that they can fit into middle school and just have an easier time. As you can imagine, that didn't go well. Her friend actually ended up quitting and they split apart due to differences, Misty wanting to play football. She found that while she was playing football, she felt more herself and things just felt right more than they did any other place. It is a great novel about overcoming adversity, little bit of teen crushes in there. She has a crush on one of the boys that she plays with. So it's just a really fun novel and about overcoming those challenges, especially for girls wanting to do sports that it is not common practice to see girls in. So I really loved this book. It's a great one, and it's a memoir. So it's told from Misty's perspective by Misty. So this is a great novel. So that is all we have for you today. In the comment section on Facebook or on I think comments, we will be posting the book list, so you can just click and place all those on hold. And we hope to see you next time. Thanks, everyone.